Good, happy Friday evening, January 24, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, so let's begin. First up, Dems say out Trump or he'll do it again. He is who he is. Let's take a listen to that video from WHDH 7 News. Dan Housley, 7 News reporter, is in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. Let's take a listen to that video and that report from him.
Get Meat Heat. Meat Heat easily installs in minutes. Meat Heat snaps over your existing baseboard heater. Meat Heat requires no special tools or skills. Meat Heat will not rust, dent, or chip. Meat Heat installs in a snap. Available at Home Depot, Lowe's, and Amazon.
Impeachment trial of President Trump reaching day 4 as the impeachment managers continue their opening arguments. The president's legal team is waiting for their chance to start. Senator Dan Housley is live for us in Washington, D.C. with the very latest on what unfolded today. Dan?
Well, Jenny, after a short break, the Democrats are back arguing now in the final lap of their marathon argument, 24 hours arguing for President Trump's removal from office. Before the break, Congressman Adam Schiff warned the senators that President Trump is who he is, and he's not going to change if they don't take him out of office. He also had an interesting warning to the senators, saying this time the matter involves the president going after Joe Biden, but next time, he warns, he could go after them.
Truth crushed to the ground will rise again.
Democratic House managers in their third and final day of opening arguments making the case to remove President Trump from office.
There's a toxic mess at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I humbly suggest that it's our collective job on behalf of the American people try to clean it up.
The reaction from most senators, though, indicates the two parties continue to hear the argument differently.
What Adam Schiff and the House managers laid out was a blistering, scalding indictment of Donald Trump.
I don't know about you, but it became mind-numbing after a while. I got the general point you're trying to make the fourth time you told me. So they're over-trying their case.
Outside the Senate chamber, the fight over witnesses continues.
If the other side were to get witnesses, we would have a series of witnesses, but we are nowhere near that process yet.
With the White House threatening a court fight over witnesses, Democrats may be losing some momentum with Republican moderates who are increasingly wary of getting into a long battle the House decided not to fight.
I've been reaching out to my Republican colleagues to see if they have questions, thoughts, want to discuss issues, and so far, I've not made any progress with anyone in particular, but I'm going to keep trying.
President Trump Friday spoke to the March for Life, the first president to address the pro-life rally in person. No mention of impeachment, but earlier the president tweeted a complaint about his defense team having to begin their argument on a weekend, writing, after having been treated unbelievably unfairly in the House, and then having to endure hour after hour of lies, fraud, and deception, looks like my lawyers will be forced to start on Saturday, which is called Death Valley in TV. And that Saturday morning session looks like it's going to be a shorter one than we've seen so far. Jay Sekulow, the president's lawyer, moments ago, saying that at the Senate's request, they agreed to go from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock tomorrow. He said they were ready for a full day, but he says now what we'll see is kind of a coming attractions for essentially the full movie on Monday and Tuesday. We're live on Capitol Hill. Dan Housley, 7 News.
Dan, thank you. And stay with the news station as we continue our coverage of the impeachment trial. As you can see on your screen right now, it is ongoing as we speak. Val Demings giving part of her arguments right now. It's going to continue throughout the afternoon. Of course, we'll bring you the updates of all the important notes from the Senate floor as we continue here on the news station. And 7's Dan Housley is right there in D.C., and he's listening and will continue to file his reports for us from the nation's capital on 7 News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And as we are speaking right now, it is the impeachment trial is still going on and happening. Let's take a listen to some of it real quick.
But before diving in, I'd like to set the historical scene. The framers were wise, and so they worried that presidents would abuse their power for personal gain. They feared that someday a president might mistake himself for a king, whose decisions cannot be questioned, whose conduct cannot be investigated, whose power transcends the rule of law. Such a would-be king would certainly think things like, quote, I have the right to do whatever I want.
Okay, if you want to watch this coverage of the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump, you can just go to the Riley King Network Facebook page and find that on the Riley King Network Facebook page, or you can go to the ABC News Live Facebook page and find it on there as well. Now let's get to some other news that we have tonight on the Riley King Newscast. Officer from New Hampshire killed in the line of duty in Virginia. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Cold and harsh conditions can make your winters brutal.
Breaking this noon, News 9 has just learned that a police officer who went to high school in Hudson, New Hampshire, has been killed in the line of duty in Newport News, Virginia. According to Alvern High School, Katie Fine graduated from the school in 2013. She worked as a member of the Newport News Police Department, and she leaves behind a 2-year-old daughter, her partner, mother, and other family.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man indicted on attempted murder charges in Pelham church shooting. Holloway also charged with first, second-degree assault. A man accused of shooting church pastor and bride during a wedding and later attacking his own lawyer has been formally indicted on 2 counts of attempted murder, among other charges according to court paperwork. A grand jury in Superior Court in Nashua handed up the indictments Tuesday against Dale Holloway, 37, of Manchester. Holloway also faces charges of first and second-degree assault and being a convicted felon with a firearm stemming from the October shootings at the Pelham Church. He has pleaded not guilty. Stanley Choate, 75, the bishop, was shot in the chest. Claire McMullen, 60, was shot in the arm. Authorities said the groom is the father of the man who was charged with killing Holloway's stepfather. Separately, a grand jury in Manchester indicted Holloway earlier this month on a first-degree assault charge, accusing him of striking his public defender in the face and head, causing him to suffer a hemorrhage. They were meeting in a jail interview room. Holloway has denied assaulting the lawyer and said he got an officer's attention after noticing the attorney had a nosebleed. A message seeking comment on the indictments was left with Holloway's attorney, Donna Brown, on Friday. Health officials confirmed second flu-related death of the season in New Hampshire. Victim is adult from Stratford County. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Cold and harsh conditions can make your winters brutal. So we push the available.
Second flu-related death has now been confirmed in the state of New Hampshire. According to the state's Department of Health, the second victim is from Stratford County. Last week, health officials confirmed that a Rockingham County resident was the first person to die from flu-related illness in the state. So far, no children have died from the flu in the Granite State this season.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Judge weighs whether to make Concord school report on teacher misconduct public. School board says report not subject to state's right to know law. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
Cold and harsh conditions can make your winters brutal.
In court, the lawyer for the school district said the report in question was protected from disclosure by New Hampshire Supreme Court ruling.
A report by the employer's legal counsel generated in the course of the employer's investigation of claimed employee misconduct is a record pertaining to personnel practices, end quote.
The 102-page report was commissioned to look into allegations that the district had mishandled allegations of inappropriate behavior by a former teacher. 2 days after the report was turned in, the superintendent and high school principal were let go.
That this record, this report, is still not an internal personnel practice.
The New Hampshire ACLU and others are arguing that the report should be released after being vetted to make sure privacy rights are protected, that this report is why the Freedom of Information law exists.
Likely demonstrates serious failures in how the district responded to allegations.
There is a public interest. But even our Constitution and our legislature, when they adopted this exemption, waived that.
The judge in this case could take a while to decide, but both parties acknowledge that there are also currently 3 right-to-know cases that are before the New Hampshire Supreme Court that could impact this case. Reporting live in Concord, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Moose stuck on New England Railroad tracks rescued and relocated. Tracks were active at the time. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC 5.
Cold and harsh conditions can make your winters brutal.
Vermont Fish and Wildlife releasing new video tonight as they rescued a moose stuck on active train tracks. Take a look at this. This happened near Route 103 in the Ludlow-Cavendish area. Crews had to sedate the moose, picking it up with a railroad crane truck. The animal had minimal injuries. The moose was then relocated to a safe area where it could return to the wild. The Vermont Rail System, Springfield Fire Department, and the town of Cavendish were all part of the successful operation by Fish and Wildlife.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Friday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you for this Friday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closes in the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red and went down. S&P 500 closed in the red and went down. Gold closed in the green and went up. Oil closed in the red and went down. U.S. 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the red and went down. And VIX closed in the green and went up. Dow drops 170 points to end the week as coronavirus fears grow. Stocks fell on Friday after the second U.S. case of a deadly coronavirus was confirmed, stoking concerns over the sickness impact on the global economy. Race to stop spread of coronavirus expands across U.S. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Concerns are growing now here in the United States. Several possible cases now under investigation, including a college student in Texas who just came back from Wuhan, China. That city and at least now 9 others are on lockdown as these cases are skyrocketing.
And here are the latest numbers. There are now nearly 900 confirmed cases around the world. Marcus Moore starts us off from College Station, Texas, with more on that possible case there. Good morning, Marcus.
Michael, good morning. This latest possible case involves a student from Texas A&M University. He had recently returned from Wuhan and took himself to the emergency room after suffering from flu-like symptoms. And now testing is underway. Overnight, the race to stop the spread of the dangerous coronavirus expanding across the country. In Washington state, where the first confirmed case in the U.S. was reported, a man is still in isolation as officials scramble to reach at least 43 people he's known to have come into close contact with. Officials in California, Tennessee, and Texas now testing patients for possible infection.
This situation is evolving quickly, and I do expect more cases in the United States, as well as human-to-human transmission.
At LAX, where urgent health screenings were already underway, a passenger flying in from Mexico was placed in quarantine with possible symptoms. Now the U.S. State Department is issuing a travel advisory for China, urging Americans not to travel to certain areas due to the risk of the coronavirus, hoping to prevent travelers from bringing the virus back home.
Airport screening, it can be an effective measure, but it's hard with coronavirus just because it takes so long for symptoms to develop.
In China, unprecedented efforts to stop the disease that has no known vaccine or treatment. Over 30 million people and at least 10 cities are now in lockdown. Officials canceling the popular Lunar New Year celebrations and shutting down travel to and from multiple areas.
Quarantining a city of 11 million, as well as a couple of other cities in China, that's never been done before.
The virus has already spread to at least 10 countries, infecting more than 880 people and claiming the lives of at least 26. Urgent scenes at clinics across the globe and empty store shelves as people react to the global health scare that so far is showing no signs of slowing. And officials here in Texas are saying that the risk to the public remains low, but it will take a day or two for them to confirm if this Texas patient has the coronavirus. Cecilia?
Okay, Marcus Moore, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all enjoyed watching and have a wonderful rest of your Friday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. Good night and bye, everyone.